Well, friends, Judge Aileen Cannon just signaled that there's no problem with her presiding over the federal criminal trial of Donald Trump. Friends, Judge Cannon is wrong. And it's not the first time she's been wrong. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Judge Aileen Cannon, the judge who was reversed by an appellate court for acting lawlessly to the extreme advantage of Donald Trump, just signaled that nobody can reasonably question her impartiality. She sees no conflict, she sees no concerns with her presiding over Donald Trump's federal criminal prosecution. And she couldn't be more wrong. Here is the recent reporting by CNN. Headline: Judge Cannon jumpstarts oversight of Trump classified documents case with order on security clearances. And that article begins, U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon issued her first order since former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to charges brought by Special Counsel Jack Smith for allegedly mishandling classified information, instructing the parties to get the ball rolling to obtain security clearances for the lawyers who will need them. In a Thursday order, Cannon gave all attorneys of record and forthcoming attorneys of record a Friday deadline for getting in touch with the Justice Department's Litigation Security Group so that they can expedite the necessary clearance process. By June 20, she wants the lawyers to file a notice confirming they have complied with her instructions. Cannon's order reflects how the case concerns highly sensitive classified materials, adding another layer of complexity to the high-stakes, first-of-its-kind federal prosecution of a former president. How long the proceedings stretch out and whether the trial takes place before or after the 2024 election will depend in part on how efficiently Cannon manages her docket. Thursday's move by Cannon suggests an interest, at least for now, in moving the proceedings along without delay. Well, friends, all due respect, I think that article buries the lead, because it's really not the substance of the order that matters much. It's a routine order, particularly in a case involving classified documents and national defense information. It is the fact of the order, because what does this order signal? For the first time, we have learned that Judge Cannon thinks she's just fine to sit on this case, to preside over a case involving the very president who gave her her job, who made her a federal judge. So let's talk about the import of this order. You know, there are three problems with Judge Cannon presiding over this case. Three reasons that I think she is wrong to have, at least thus far, failed to remove herself from the case as the federal law requires. That's going to be reason number three, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's start with the first problem. The first problem is one I haven't heard many folks talk about. Maybe I've missed it. When a judge has a conflict of interest or something that gives rise to the appearance of a conflict of interest, even in the absence of an actual conflict, that judge must remove himself or herself from the case. You know, they must recuse. Here's the thing, friends. This is the first time in the history of the United States that a criminal former president is being tried for his crimes, being prosecuted in federal court for his crimes. Who is it that gave Judge Cannon her job? Lifetime tenure as a federal judge, a lucrative position, a prestigious position, an appointment for life. It's one of the ultimate honors that a president can bestow on a lawyer, making that lawyer a federal judge for life. The defendant is the one who gave Judge Cannon her job. Friends, doesn't that give rise to at least an appearance of conflict? Won't she have her rulings criticized if she begins ruling in favor of Donald Trump in ways that don't make much sense, given what we know about the facts and the law? Might we come to think, well, of course she's going to do favors for the person who made her a judge with lifetime tenure. She's already acted lawlessly in favor of Donald Trump once and got smacked down by the appellate court for it. Indeed, she expressly tried to put Donald Trump in a category unto himself, above everybody else and almost beyond reach. She improperly, without any legal authority, ordered that the Department of Justice stop investigating the classified documents that were seized from him at Mar-a-Lago, the very documents that now form the basis of the criminal prosecution that she is going to preside over. That doesn't give anybody pause. That doesn't conjure up an appearance of conflict. She's trying the defendant who gave her her job as a federal judge. Seems to me, under these unprecedented circumstances, we would be well advised to say, you know, a president can be tried by a judge appointed by a Republican president or by a Democrat. None of that matters. But a president shouldn't be tried by the very judge he appointed, because that's an appearance of conflict problem. That's problem number one. Problem number two is Judge Cannon has little to no trial experience as a federal judge. Let me hasten to add, that's not, legally speaking, disqualifying, but it sure is concerning. Judge Cannon, I think, has had something like 4 trials as a judge, and they lasted like 2, 3, 4 days. A gun case here, a drug case there. She has almost no experience presiding over federal criminal trials, never mind complex trials, never mind one of the most consequential criminal trials in our nation's history. You know, that would be like taking a brand new doctor who just, finished his residency or passed his or her boards, and they're practicing for the first time. They've seen a few patients, maybe treated some scraped knees, and then somebody takes that physician and throws them into an operating room to perform complex brain surgery. That ain't going to end well for the patient, just like this ain't going to end well for justice if Judge Cannon continues to preside. And but let me add again, that's not disqualifying. It's just enormously concerning that a novice, somebody's still, cutting their judicial teeth. You're going to cut your teeth on this case? Here's the third problem. This is the big one, because this one involves the federal law requiring her to leave the case. So the federal law, specifically 28 United States Code Section 455, for those of you scoring at home, sets out when a judge shall disqualify themselves from a case. Here's how it reads. It's very short. Any justice, judge, or magistrate judge of the United States, any judge, shall disqualify himself or herself in any proceeding in which their impartiality might reasonably be questioned. Judge Cannon's impartiality is reasonably being questioned by all sorts of folks, including, legal scholars left, right, and center. Why? Because in this case, she already got it dangerously wrong in favor of Donald Trump. She exercised jurisdiction over that earlier case when Donald Trump was trying to stop the Department of Justice from investigating him for the very documents that he's now being prosecuted for. She exercised jurisdiction. She entered the game, so to speak, in a way that was lawless. And the appellate court told her it was lawless. You had no right to do it. And you had no right to, quote, interfere. That's the word they used. They said these exacting rules preventing judges from entering this fray, from exercising jurisdiction like this, those rules are designed to prevent a trial court judge from interfering in an ongoing executive branch investigation, which is precisely what Judge Cannon did and precisely why she was slapped down and criticized in some scorched earth language by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. But all three of these problems, water off a duck's back for Judge Cannon. I have no concerns. We have concerns. The rule of law has concerns. The criminal justice system has concerns. The people who want to see Donald Trump tried fairly by an independent, impartial judge whose impartiality cannot be questioned has concerns. The people who are thirsty for accountability and justice for what Donald Trump has done to the American people over the years have concerns. And Judge Cannon should recognize those reasonable concerns and should remove herself from the case. But given that she's now issued her first order, looks like she's not interested in that. Just swiping all that aside. Well, now the ball is in Jack Smith's court, special counsel, because he can and should, I think must, file a motion to recuse, setting out these arguments, setting out the federal law and the facts that support people having reasonable questions about Judge Cannon's impartiality. And hopefully, if he files that motion, when he files that motion, Judge Cannon, who will have another opportunity to reflect on whether a completely fair, impartial, independent judge who has no ties to this case and no ties to the president who appointed her. I mean, did I mention she's presiding over the case where the defendant gave her her job? Hopefully she will reflect, turn it over in her mind, give it a second thought, and decide it is better for me to step aside. Let me just finish with this, friends, because it's really important. The rules and the federal law regarding judges removing themselves from cases or being removed, actually, they set a very low bar. So you don't have to prove Judge Cannon can't be impartial. You don't have to prove Judge Cannon can't be fair. The standard is if her impartiality could reasonably be questioned. In the conflicts setting or scenario, you don't have to prove somebody has a conflict, just if there is a reasonable appearance of conflict, because that undermines the legitimacy of the proceedings and the reliability of the outcome. And the reason the bar is set so low for judges to just step aside and let another fair, independent, impartial judge preside over the trial is because there are so many federal judges who can come in and give Donald Trump a fair, impartial trial. So Donald Trump may want Judge Cannon, but the law and the rules of conflicts suggest, no, she should step aside because we want people to have confidence in the fairness and the reliability of the process and in the ultimate outcome of the trial. It's a low bar, and I hope Judge Cannon either decides to step aside or Jack Smith files a motion and convinces her to step aside, and if she doesn't, I hope the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals saying, Judge Cannon, you were wrong once. You were lawless once in favor of Donald Trump, and we told you so. Now we're going to tell you a second time that we think people can reasonably question your impartiality, and it's time for you to step aside. That should be the outcome. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.